I just pushed myself away. Good evening, everybody. A little technical difficulties there. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Incredichat Live tonight. We weren't here last weekend. Like I said, we're going to be maybe bi-weekly every couple of weeks now doing some stuff. But we took a week off last week. Thanks to everybody who tuned out, who came out last week to see Marty Grabstein out in Walden. Tonight, we've got a very exciting guest star, guy I got to meet over here with our good buddy Bill Diamond, filming Z Dead End. But you guys know him best from his roles on Law and Order and his we were just talking about a few minutes ago, his very memorable character over on The Sopranos. Gigi, please welcome to tonight's Incredichat, John Fiore. John, welcome to the show.
Greetings, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Yeah, I mean there is some excitement going on tonight about you being with us.
Oh,
so I mean, you've been on, and I guess we'll start into this. I want to ask how you got into acting, why acting, but I mean, you've been on two shows which are like hugely popular in our world, Law and Order and The Sopranos. But before we jump into that, tell us a little bit about you. How did you get into this world of acting? Why acting?
Well, I didn't really start acting until I was 26 years old. I was finishing college, undergrad at 26. I had quit, gone back, and I went to graduate. And the registrar, there was requirements to take. And in that column was speech, this, whatever, acting. And he said, to graduate, you have to take something from here, something from science. I was short a couple of credits, or whatever you call it. I don't even remember. And I just went, I think I'll try the acting. It wasn't an obsession or something that I thought of much before that, really. Mm-hmm. And once I started doing it, I really liked it. And I went on a mission to try to do that. After that, just from getting up in a class where you literally like be a tree, like all the stuff you heard about, primitive beginning acting, but just to be able to do anything in front of anybody was monumental. You know what I mean? To like stand before people and do whatever. And then it was just like a thing, that's what I try to do.
Now, can I ask you, what were you going to school for before the bug hit you?
Criminal justice. I have a Bachelor of Science degree in criminology.
Gotcha.
Which I've never used. I did work in the court before I graduated as a court officer, which was a great job, by the way. I should have never left it. I could have done both. But that was kind of my thing, where I was at in a little area, and then I got the bug.
Now, I'm just, because I'm looking up, and I mean, you said criminal justice, so obviously, you probably used some of that knowledge when you were doing Law and Order. But it looks like one of your first roles was Spencer for Hire. You're on that.
Yeah, well, that was the Boston thing way back when Boston wasn't what it is today, a mecca of filmmaking here for the last decade or more, really. Yeah. Many films are made here, like Hollywood. But way back then, there was nothing at all. If you were an actor in Boston, you did theater, corporate videos, that, an occasional thing that may have passed through town. But Spencer came to town way back when. There was a Boston, based on the detective novel.
Yeah.
And it ran for like 3 years. It was the Boston thing. Everybody here got to, over the course of that time, do something on that show. And I was on a couple of times. The second time, Ed O'Neill and I played brothers.
Oh, wow. That's very
cool. We became very good friends for a long time. Since then, I haven't seen him much.
Yeah.
But we were close for our meeting on that show.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I remember watching Spencer with my dad. I like Spencer. Robert Urich, Avery Brooks, great.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I used to read the books. Back in the day, when I read books. But I like, and they go, oh, they're making a TV show out of the books I like to read. Cool,
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, and that was, I guess that a show like Spencer for Hire, I guess that's where you kind of found your niche with like those hour-long dramas. Was there something?
Yeah, I mean, that was
the drama that spoke to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's they seem like there's something you can get into at least, especially at a local level, and it's from there I decided, well, okay, if you want to be an actor now, you're gonna have to go to New York. You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Mm.
So then I started going down there and trying to get stuff there. And I was going back and forth or whatever, just doing what I had to do.
Mhm.
And that's what happened. It just kind of an evolution,
Yeah, because I mean, like certainly, and I don't know if you've done any comedy shows. Like you mentioned Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill, I mean, he's done his dramas, but I mean, he can go from an hour-long drama to like Married with Children,
Yeah.
and back and forth. Like, how do you feel? Have you done any experimenting in that world as well?
Well, I experimented in the comedy world on my own, ridiculous stuff that people can see on the internet that I put up on Facebook and YouTube. As far as getting hired, as far as being hired to do big time comedies, I haven't been hired. I haven't had many opportunities to really even do it because it just hasn't come my way, even though, I believe I could do it. So that's why when I do like content and stuff on Facebook and YouTube or whatever, I always try to keep it on the funny side because that's what I like to do. It's easy. You can kind of do it by yourself. You're not going to sit here and do like a serious piece of acting talking to yourself or doing like some, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You look like an asshole. So, yeah, I just entertain. I keep myself entertained.
No, and that's the important thing. That's the business that you're in, entertainment.
I mean, it's an arrested development. I do whatever I can. I have a podcast. I'm a co-host of a podcast that keeps us busy called Be a Man. And it's comedy. It's everywhere. It's another thing we can promote. Every platform.
Up there for it.
And it's pretty good. We've done about 15 of them or so, whatever. And we're kind of on a roll. I mean, it's very well done. It's silly. It's funny. Irreverent. But we do that.
Yeah. So I'm going back to now New York. Let's talk a little bit about some of the shows that you were involved in the net. So Law and Order, NYPD Blue. I mean, what was that process? I mean, Law and Order. You were on there for quite a while, and you worked with some like legendary talent on that. What was that like?
Oh, I liked it a lot because that was kind of my foray into feeling like I had done something significant. To be on Law and Order and coming from Boston to go in there to getting like a big time acting, national TV the cable TV didn't really exist. Yeah. NBC, CBS, right? ABC, that's where it was at. That's all there really was. So those shows were really, now it's so, there's so many stations and outlets and all that. But back then, it was almost a singular focus on those shows, and it was great. It was gritty, it was kind of groundbreaking in a way. The first year especially was kind of handheld-ish and a very realistic depiction of like a precinct from 70s movies, which I like that. That whole atmosphere. I had that, at least by the time I was on it. The people were great. I liked playing a cop, a detective. It kind of fit in with my, what I thought I once would want to do it myself. Just for about that long, but still, it was fun to pretend to do it and not really do it.
I mean, certainly, like you said, and I know the way that your character ended on that show. Detective Tony Profaci. Maybe that's not how you wanted your police career to actually end either.
No, it was a very odd way for a policeman's career to end.
Yeah, I
remember when they came to me with that to do that, asked me to do that. And I had been on the show for 9 years as a recurring Detective Profaci. I'd have 1 line, 2 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines, week to week, whatever it was great. I was very happy doing it. And then they said, listen, we're going to make a TV movie, but it's going to be the end of you. But on the bright note, it's a big role, great big expansion of the Profaci role. And thirdly, you don't really have a choice. So, I did that, and Detective Profaci became a dirty cop because he was trying to get money for his wife's in vitro fertilization. Mm-hmm. So that's why I consorted with the mob. I didn't really want to, but I had to because we needed money. I remember when they told me this, like verbally, somebody, Chris Nava, whoever, I go, "Are you serious? That sucks. I hate that." What? They go, "Yeah, you need money for in vitro." I thought they were kidding me. I go, that's how I'm a dirty cop.
I mean, I don't want to say such a silly reason, but I mean, like, like be a dirty cop for something better, right?
Yeah, I was like a chicken dirty cop. I didn't really want to. I needed money, and they would give me money because Shirley needs in vitro. I'm like, I was very, something looking back, it was a very woke moment.
Yeah.
I was ahead of the times. I'm certainly not woke now.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And it's funny, like you're talking about like how a show like Law and Order had that gritty,
oh yeah,
70s show, feel. And I mean, even going back to Spencer for Hire,
yeah,
that very episodic, story beginning and end, almost
yeah,
thing,
like a vintagey look or whatever. I mean, now. It's not a cliche to say everything's watered down to a degree. Not that it's just so few eyeballs on any particular thing at a given time. There's a zillion choices, as we all know.
Yeah.
So I guess you measure it in different ways now. You don't even think of stuff you thought of 20 years ago. Now it's like, hey, let's just do something good, quality. Some people are going to watch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's just so much content out there in the world now. You can get lost in it.
Yeah. And many nights, and we have every network here, this and that. And sometimes I just can't because my attention span. I could sometimes lay in bed and go, all I've done is look at YouTube tonight at little mini clips all night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not even go near looking at a TV.
Yeah. Or you spend an hour like looking at just like reading the different descriptions of everything.
Right. And then when one thing leads you to the next thing, I'm reading about Pink Floyd. Then something else pops up and go, oh yeah, what's on later? And you start click with the suggestions. So sometimes that's my entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't watch a lot of shows.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you that. What kind of shows do you like to watch? What is that before you get into the Sopranos?
Well, I did like, say, for example, Curb Your Enthusiasm, but I never really watched Seinfeld. Never. I just never watch it. Just not that I thought it sucked or anything. I just didn't watch it. And I liked Breaking Bad, of course. I liked TV shows of my youth, actually. Like 70s Prime Detective stuff, that formula stuff. I liked it then. It's kind of an antique, in a way. But I like Breaking Bad. As I said, I want Narcos. I watch Godfathers of Harlem. Like 4 or 5 shows at a time I watch. It's all I can handle. I can't I'm going to watch it. What the fuck am I going to watch TV all day?
I wish I had that time.
I tried to watch Succession the other night. I go from the first season because it's only 2 seasons in. Because I need a show to watch. Everybody says it's good, so I labored through the first one. I'm like, stay with it. I got through it, and then the second one I started like wavering again. Halfway through, I ixnayed it. I don't know if I'm going back.
Yeah. Then that's the thing. You just try them out now, and like you said, a couple of them to it. Okay, there's the next one. At least there's those options.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw up into the chat here. Go to Apple Podcasts. That's where you can find the Be a Man Experience. And there's a lot of information there. But if you Google the Be a Man Experience, John Fiore, it'll take you over to the Apple Podcast, and you can subscribe and check out that podcast there. And I just want to also throw out on the bottom there too for everybody who's watching. Go to Instagram.com, Real John Fiore, and go also to YouTube. Look up John Fiore. You got some great clips on there, great comedy, and just everything John Fiore. So I want to move into the Sopranos now, and I didn't even realize this because again, it's all this content online. We don't even know what's going on in the movie theaters. But tonight is the eve of the release of The Many Saints of Newark, the prequel to the
wow.
Sopranos.
That's right. It is the eve of the release, isn't it?
I did not even realize that. Someone threw that into the chat.
Well, you know what it is? I'm always behind in my head. Like, to me, it's like September 1st, not October. So I'm behind.
Yeah.
Way behind now. I'm like, October's 2 months away, isn't it?
I wish. So, someone said Godfather of Harlem. I'm going to check it out. So, I mean, let's talk Sopranos. Gigi. So, how did you get the role of Gigi? And for the episodes that you were there, about the 12, 13 episodes that you played on that, what was that experience like?
Well, it was great because it was the greatest show even then. It was I got in there in the second season. It was already kind of approaching a phenom, not to what it would ultimately become several seasons later, but even season 2,
Yeah.
you knew like this spaceship is taking off, and by season 3 even more, and then so forth and so on, until the end. So it was great. I mean, I got a call from an agent to go into audition for it. The role of Gigi, I went in. It wasn't a lot of lines to do. So I wore leopard shoes, like I got from the Exiled Law and Order TV movie.
Ah.
My character didn't wear them, but Costas Mandalore character wore them. Anyway, they're like rockabilly showbiz shoes. You can only wear them, when you want to be like have a real attitude or whatever. Anyway, I wore them. And when I went into the room, I didn't even know who would be in the room. The whole brain trust was in there. Chase, everybody was in the room.
Gotcha.
And I said, I walked in, they faced me just like this. I looked, I said, you're going to see a lot of actors today. Nobody's out acting these shoes. Something like that. And everybody laughed. And goes, like, I said, 10 people in there. And it was such a sense of relief. Like I had them, And then the lines were so, just like, like 2 lines, not even joined together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any actor will tell you they're the hardest things to do. So the time before I did the lines, the quote unquote winning the room, was what got me the role,
Yeah.
Whereas during Zoom or self-tape auditions, you can't really win the room. Like walk in going, hey, how you doing? What's up? Bye-bye, and talk for a while. You're just kind of doing the thing. So anyway, it just happened. That was an opportunity to do that. The shoes, it just kind of worked in the moment, I fit the part, the look, and this and that, and I got it. I was thrilled, and did that until I got the phone call, that was over.
Well, I mean, before we get to when it was over, we've got a couple of questions here. People want to know about James Gandolfini. What was it like working with James Gandolfini?
He was the best. He was a man's man, a guy you wanted to be with, you wanted to hang around with. He was fantastic. Any actor, anybody, super supportive, as a great actor, so fabulous, incredible. I marvel to this day, But he was great. He was the daddy of the show, of all his guys, and everybody loved him. We all loved him. He was so cool.
Yeah.
The best, right.
I mean, and certainly what a huge loss. Like, I mean, when the word got out that he had passed away too, like it's like
It's to me the heaviest showbiz death I think that I've, even more than Elvis for me. Something. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was like huge news, like shockingly and unbelievable, And still to this day, all these years later, I go, can't be true. It could really happen, But yeah, no, he was great. He was great, and he's still kind of great. You know what I mean? He's so revered for a reason. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's so monumental in this whole industry forever. Him and his character, and his other characters too.
Yeah.
So he's just a legend. Even if he was here, he'd be a legend. He was great.
No, absolutely. I mean, like you said, even if he was here prior to even him passing away, that role. Soprano. Like, I mean, everybody knows Tony Soprano. If you don't watch The Sopranos, you know who Tony Soprano is. And you just know that look.
Right. Yeah.
And who it is.
It was great. He was great to do scenes with and hang with and all that.
Mm-hmm. So now let's you said you Oh, here we got some questions. Your first scene was when you whacked Philly Parisi in a car, right? Genuine question.
Something? Probably need an expert. I don't know if that was my first scene. I'm trying to think of the sequence. I think I did something in season 2 in the back room of the where the pool table is, the Bada Bing. I said something to him about to go thank the boss of the family. I thought it predated the whacking scene. But I could be wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We have another question here. It said, I know that many actors typically hate watching themselves and will actively avoid it. Did you ever watch? I guess this goes for all your shows. Did you ever actually watch these shows, or do you watch the entire show?
Yeah, I watched. Well, when they were Law and Order, I never used to watch the whole show because I wasn't into it. I liked the look of the police part of it.
Yeah.
But when I got to the law part, I wasn't really into it. You know, it sounds awful, but I'd watch until I was done. My scenes, I'd say. Sometimes you can watch yourself and be happy. Other times you can watch yourself and say, you're in the wrong line of work, man. You know? And sometimes it's in between.
Man.
Sometimes you go, oh, yeah, that was good. And other times you go, oof. But, you know, I kind of, you know, I'm aware of it. I check it out. I don't avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Like, so with like you said, Law and Order, you stopped watching after you were done with that. Sopranos, did you stay through to the end?
Oh yeah, no, Sopranos, yeah, because I liked it a lot. You know, the show itself, Law and Order. You know, that even I said about vintagey show, about that look of doing that edgy show back in early, you know, late whatever 80s, not late 80s.
Yeah,
it was the police half that I liked. You know, I just wasn't into the whole hour. You know. But Sopranos, I liked it. I loved it. I probably watched at least maybe say 3 times through. Maybe.
Oh, wow.
I mean, that's not maybe. I can't even say for sure. You know, I mean, the fans watch it way more than any of us guys that were in it. You know, and YouTube's great, of course, for pulling up clips of it without watching the whole thing.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'll watch a couple. You know, random pick 2.
Gotcha. Got you. Someone wanted to know, with that audition, was David Chase at your audition?
He was.
He was. There you go, GTO.
Yeah, he was there, and of course, we didn't know that he was the magnitude of, you know, fully. You knew he was the boss. Any boss of a show was a big figure to the actor. You know what I mean? I mean, he wasn't the epic David Chase. He was like still on the ascending wedge.
So let me just ask you, like, longevity of these shows, you know, and again, Law and Order has been on forever, you know, but certainly from when you were on there to where it is now, like, it's kind of a very, I guess, chiseled, you know, very systematic way that the show is done now. But what would you attribute the longevity of that show to it? And then even Sopranos is done, you know, but the fans still love it. We got this movie coming out tomorrow. What is it about both of these properties? I mean, huge that you were in. What's the staying power?
Well, the Sopranos, I mean, the mob genre, of course, was a legendary genre, you know. And then after, say, Goodfellas or whatever, Bronx Tale, you know, people were looking for the next sort of thing in that vein. Yeah. You know, some other things came along and went, but nothing of the magnitude of those. And then this came out, which was sort of another side of the whole mob life, including the family stuff. And it's a classic. It has everything. It's not just the mob. It's really a family show about a family, you know, in many ways. And Law and Order was true crime, you know, which is sadly very prevalent. It's a thing that people are interested in. It's in the news. They used to copy the headlines, if you recall. Yeah. Rip from the headlines. And that's all you have to do. And you can write stories every day for the next 100 years.
That's why it's on.
You know, with skilled writers, they go, boom, take that in the news. Off they go. But yeah.
Nice. Someone wants to know, what are your 3 favorite films of all time? That's a good question.
Well, I don't have an order. I cannot. You know, I would say Godfather. But sadly, I include 1 and 2 together.
Okay. I think
I don't want to use up 2 picks.
Yeah.
So that's Godfather 1 and 2 is the heavyweight champion to me, if I had to pick. But I also like, of course, Goodfellas. I love, maybe sometimes more than all of them, Glenn Ross.
All right.
One of my absolute top favorites. You know, sometimes it's the only movie I can watch for 5 months in a row. Just watch pieces of it and nothing else, and then TV stuff,
Yeah.
news, whatever, and just go. I'll watch 5 minutes of Glengarry
Gotcha.
because that whole rainy. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Long time ago.
David Mamet, brilliant, epic writer. Just the grimness of it. These guys happen to be cheesy bogus land real estate salesmen.
Mm-hmm.
But you can apply it to any walk of life, any scenario.
Yeah.
It's sort of about desperation, and it's just incredible. It's one of those pieces of work that gets better to me. It's like, wow. It applies to everybody, not just people in that kind of field.
Someone wrote Glengarry Glen Ross, tongue twister. Glengarry Glen Ross is awesome indeed, especially Pacino. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always be closing. And
ABC, always be closing.
And someone said Godfather 1 and 2 are a package deal. So there you go.
I mean, pound for pound, it's okay. Even if you have to separate them, well, then they're 1 and 1A in my book. For the sheer majesty, the look, the music, the acting, the color of it, the vibe of it. It's just, I think it's hard to beat that one.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. There will never be another movie.
No,
Godfather 2.
I mean, everything's compared to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a romanticized to an extent of the older mob. But that's kind of more how it was back then too. Mobsters did wear the fancy suits, as they often continue to. And then Goodfellas was a different side of the mob. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but that's my favorite.
Yeah. So now let me just ask you too. You mentioned Gigi, and I mean, you have one of the most memorable deaths on The Sopranos, as I'm sure you get probably called out on all of the time. So let me ask, when you're out in public, do people recognize you?
Sometimes they do.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get recognized, like, wow, every day. And then sometimes, more frequently, you don't get recognized at all. Gotcha. Or sometimes people look at you and then look away. But, it depends. And it depends where you are. If I was in New York, in Little Italy, or in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
Or Providence, Rhode Island, then you get recognized more for obvious reasons.
Where you are, you might walk into the grocery store.
If I walk in the north end of Boston, I'm sure that because that's the base, you know what I'm saying? Of support, and they're very familiar.
So somebody's actually asking about Brotherhood. They want to hear a little bit about Brotherhood.
Oh, Brotherhood was great. I loved it. I was shot in Rhode Island, Providence, and Showtime pulled the plug on it after 3 seasons. They weren't. It went from 10 episodes and 12, 10, 8 was the 3rd and final season.
Gotcha.
They kind of quit on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It came at a bad time. Showtime was here. HBO was way up, above them. But Showtime was fledgling to
a degree. They're trying to find their foot.
Yeah, I mean that's a little extreme, but they weren't at HBO's level at that time. But they were very good, and the show kind of got buried. It didn't find its groove. The people that loved it,
mm-hmm.
but it was quieter in a sense, and not as flashy, but it's very gritty, and I liked it a lot. I loved working on it.
Well, it goes back to what you were saying about like that gritty kind of something that you like.
We were it had a realistic vibe to it too. I liked, great actors in it, and Providence was a great backdrop. It should have been Boston, maybe. I love Providence. It's not because it was based on the Bulger brothers.
Gotcha.
And then for vague reasons, I don't know why, they moved it from Boston, and they became a different name on the show, Brothers. So, as a person familiar with all that stuff, you don't really say it's about the Bulger brothers, but it didn't feel like that. You know what I mean? It felt like its own thing, even though they had the politician brother and the gangster brother, just like the Bulgers, but yet there was a different feel to it. Gotcha. You didn't feel like you were watching their saga necessarily.
Yeah.
That's how I took it.
Yeah, and again, like you said, and I guess like in that era of the 2000s, shows, and now, I mean, geez, things take on a life. So I'm sure you get people that watch it now streaming who come up who have said,
Yeah,
"Wow,
everything stays on demand too. Like, you know what I mean? Like say you go to Showtime, every
yeah,
show they've ever put is on there on demand. So it's like they're always there now. You know, so people can always discover
that's
it. You know, then people put clips. I put some on YouTube.
yeah,
Sometimes they get you from a clip and they want to watch the whole show. You know?
yeah." And it's funny here. You're talking about things that you did earlier in your career. Somebody just wanted to know about One Crazy Summer with Cusack and Demi Moore.
Yeah, I didn't do much on that show except for puke on a sailboat.
There you go.
Hungover. I was peak condition. I see myself. I probably look like I'm about 12, you know, not an inch of fat on me. And all I remember, I was on the Australian boat.
Yeah.
And I had one line. I go, "Good day, mate." But in the racing scenes, it was a great gig for me because I was just starting out.
Yeah.
And even though there wasn't a lot to do, we were on a sailboat yacht, a racing boat, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we got to cruise around on the ocean for multiple days, and just even between takes, we were chilling. But one day I was hungover.
Oh boy.
And I ended up going downstairs, puking my guts out. I was trying to hold it together. We had drank B-52s the day before in the hotel bar. We got really, really hungover.
Nice.
And I puked. The owners of the boat were on the boat. I went up to one of them. I go, "Hey, downstairs behind that thing over there." They go, "Don't worry about it." I go, "No, I know." I was thinking, what can I do, right? As soon as I hit land, I was cured instantly. It was like a miracle.
Really?
I mean, I've only been seasick, never like that before. You know, I'm sure I've been a little bit here and there, maybe, but I was so wretchedly ill, like puking and like writhing, rolling on the ground. Like, oh God, I'm gonna die. I can't take it anymore. When my feet hit the ground, I could have drank right then and there instantly. I was like magically like 150-cent turnaround.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. While you're on the boat, is that one of those moments where you were like, "I swear I'm never gonna have another drop of alcohol again"?
No. It was just about the motion, and when it stopped, and when my feet were able to plant, it went away like that.
That's so
After,
funny.
like, doing that for, I go, "Oh God," for 2 hours. To be magically cured was great. I'll never forget it.
Oh, that's funny. Adam just said he may be the only one. He may be the only. I may be one of the only people you'll ever know that will bring this up. But he now remembers you were in HBO's Life Stories: Families in Crisis.
Oh
I don't know
wow,
what that is.
that's way back. Yeah,
God.
that's right. That's out there on YouTube somewhere and all that.
What is that?
They did like life stories. It was about a kid who had, it was a true story. He had, when AIDS was all happening, you know,
Yeah.
and he wanted to go to school, and the town, half of them didn't want him to go. You know, they were like boycotting the family and him, and some
The
people.
Joey DiPaolo story. That's what it was.
Yeah, and history repeats itself now because it looks so tame compared to the vaccination nonsense.
There you go. Right.
So it's like, to look at that, it seems like really over that. Yeah, they don't want the kid to go to school because he may have AIDS, and it's light compared to what's happening now.
Oh my God! Absolutely.
It's insanity. So just when you think things couldn't get really nuttier, they do.
Yeah.
I'm not happy about it, but
hopefully they'll come down. So let me just ask now, because I know we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. So I mentioned before Z Dead End, what you're doing with our buddy Bill Diamond over here in the Hudson Valley. Aside from that, and Robert Restro films, that's gonna be a great movie. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be a lot of fun. I saw some of the stuff you guys did with that. You'll be the general in that. What else are you working on right now?
Well, I've got several things that we have pre-production on. Like films, all independent films. One is series. It's premature to really say anything, but it keeps me very busy and occupied. Trying to think what I've got. I got Z Dead End coming up. I've got a feature coming up, an indie, in about a month. Just about a week on it, but I have my podcast. And like I said, I have these 3 things that we're really trying to develop. One of them, I hope to shoot up there with our friend Bill Diamond,
Awesome.
where we all met originally. And that's my goal, is to go back there and shoot my story there that I have. So
fantastic. Yeah. So, I mean, for everybody watching, stay tuned. There's a lot more John Fiore coming.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw this up there just one more time, too. Go to the Apple Podcast. I mean, you can check it out. Be a Man Experience. So you can check that out there.
Yeah. Was that a little picture? Okay.
That's that was our little Incredicon logo there.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if I can pull a picture up with that, but yeah. So check that out. The Be a Man Experience.
Yes.
The Dead End. And there's some other, like you said, there's some other things that are.
I did Julia on HBO, a new series. Did a couple episodes.
All right.
That's but that's not out yet. That'll be
Julia.
out. What's that?
Julia, it's called.
Yeah, based on Julia Child, the famous chef. Remember her?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's a pretty interesting show. I think it's going to be a hit for HBO.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
that was fun.
We don't think about Julia Child anymore, so yeah, that'd be very interesting.
Yeah, I mean the life, for a woman to have a TV show in the early days of TV like that, and the whole backstory, and it's pretty far out. I mean, I lived around here. They shot it in Boston at Channel 2,
Mm-hmm.
so we knew it was like local. She was local, or close to us geographically. Different breed altogether. It wasn't hip. You know what I mean? To us guys listening to Led Zeppelin and doing all the stuff we were doing at that age. We weren't really into Julia Child necessarily.
Yeah, you were. That wasn't the person. That wasn't the
no.
person.
But as you got older, at least you're able to realize. Yeah, I get it. It's pretty cool. It's not for me, but I can understand why the older people liked her. At that time, I get it, but it wasn't for us though.
Yeah.
As an adult, you can look back and go, unbelievable. Yeah.
That's very funny. And while you were telling that, I'll just share up here, folks. Here it is. The Be a Man podcast. There, the Be a Man Experience.
Yes.
So there it is.
That's a lot of fun to do. We have a great time, and if I could just do that, I'd be content.
There you go.
We play video clips of a condensed portion on YouTube as well.
Oh, and that's on the John Fiore YouTube page.
No, that's on the Be a Man YouTube.
Be a Man YouTube. So John Fiore and Be a Man.
Yes.
Is there an Instagram for the Be a Man Experience as well?
There is, or it might be just Boston Be a Man or whatever. Yeah, but that's on there too. That's a huge hit.
Awesome.
I work with the legendary Be a Man guy. I'm his co-host on the podcast. Be a Man is a very wise living legend who's come to save mankind with advice with me.
And I'll just throw this out there too. Another podcast that you were on not that long ago was the Talking with the Dead, which was pretty entertaining.
So I'm still waiting for my check. Where is it?
Those guys are very entertaining guys.
Yeah, it was fun. I sat on my porch. I drank beers that night. When I talked to them. Yeah. I got a little shit-faced.
I think they were too, right?
What else is there? Yeah. So when I spoke to one of them recently, when Bill called me, I said, I'm not in the movie they're doing. I forget what they said.
There'll be more. So guys, again, John, thank you for joining us tonight here, and thank you for everybody that tuned in and your questions. Go to the Be a Man podcast. Get that. Go to Instagram, look up Real John Fiore. Boston Be a Man, you said, right?
Yes.
Instagram. And same thing over on YouTube, and check all that out. And stay tuned for Z Dead End and all the other great things with John Fiore. Go see the Many Saints of Newark tomorrow. Keep that Sopranos thing going. John, thank you so much once again, and we will see everybody else next week on Incredichat. We'll end up here then, and see you guys all next week.
All right, later.